Bit of a blast from the past, and we haven't seen a C30 for a long time either. So let's crack on. Hello, and welcome to another Mr. Betabyte video. And this one's a little bit different insofar as we're revisiting a machine that I sold about 12 months ago and featured on the channel about, I think it's about 18 months ago. I'd have to check, but I'll stick it up above. Yeah, it's been working fine. And then Ben, who bought this, hi Ben, tried a tape the other day, having not used it for a little while, so I believe, and basically there's no picture, but if you sort of did a scan, picture search forward, backwards, you would get a picture, yeah, it sounds like classic tape path issues, possibly. I mean, my gut feeling is the bearings on the pinch roller itself have failed, which is not uncommon with these machines. And I do have spares, not new, but they're good, so we can change that if that's the case. But yeah, let's crack on and take a look. Okay, so I'm sort of wondering how long ago I actually did do this machine. I mean, I've done the power supply caps, of course. I mean, this is the thing. I sort of look at machines I've done like 2 years ago, and I sort of think, oh, gosh, I haven't done so-and-so, and that's because I didn't know. It's that sort of learning curve with these machines. As they get older, what you need to look out for and what you just change regardless. And these power supply caps, there's a total of 4 on there. That need to be changed, just do them. But this was before I really started resurfacing upper drums, and you can see here there is actually a fair bit of wear there. What I was suspecting was bad is the pinch roller, but it does actually have pretty good run on. The only thing I would say, there's a fair bit of wear there on the rubber, so I'll probably just resurface that. The capstan itself is good, but there's quite a bit of tape residue there, and I am pretty particular in cleaning that away. So it's obviously had a fair bit of use relatively. I mean, I reckon a service every 500 hours on these, so it probably hasn't done that much, but yeah, obviously with older tapes, that you can reduce that, we can cut that in half sometimes. So yeah, it's interesting machine to work on. So I suppose the next thing is to put a tape in and see what it's doing. Okay, so power on. Yeah, so you can hear a bit of a tightness. This is a terrible tape, incidentally, but it will do for this testing. So you can hear there's a little bit of labouring going on there. Ooh, gosh, that sounds horrible. Like I say, this tape's terrible as well. So do need to do that upper drum. And if we have a look at the picture, well, it's a bit odd. I mean, that to me looks almost like just a bad head. It is. It's running a bit slow. Yeah, that's. I think a lot of that's just the cassette, to be fair. Let me just try. Another cassette. Okay, so I've put in the cassette we use for everything, and that's absolutely fine. It's working. So that sort of is a bit odd. It just needed the head cleaned. Now, of course, it isn't quite as simple as that. What I did notice, and I'll just see if I can get it to replicate the problem. Now, this wasn't a reported issue, but let's see if it does it. It's fine now. What it was doing was it wasn't actually lacing up. Now, that can be caused by this switch just not being properly energized, or the leaf switch itself being faulty. So yeah, so you can see it's playing up. Yeah, and it's errored. So let's turn it off, turn it back on. It's a bit of an odd one. Yeah, so that does seem really good. Tracking left, so you can see just a little bit of noise. Oh, there we go, a bit of noise coming in now. Tracking right, furthest right, a little bit of noise at the top there, but it's actually really good. So yeah, it's just this problem. Yeah, you see it's just not ejecting. And I do wonder if we might have a problem with the motor. And I say that because it seems to be when the motor lands in a certain spot, it fails, and you move this and it then drives. It could be just one of the windings is bad or gone open, or it's going to be perfect now. Yeah, I just need to check that, I think. But what I might end up doing, I have got spare ones of these, spare assemblies, whole motor assemblies, so I might change that, but we'll see. But what I will do is I'll resurface that upper drum, because I mean, it's not terrible, but it will cause issues. So yeah, it just seems fine now. So okay, let's crack on and do that. So it's been a bit of an odd one, this loading issue, insofar as I do think possibly there's been something not quite right with this motor, but I'm going to check that. It's actually worked flawlessly since those first couple of sort of hiccups with the lacing side of it. It's actually been flawless, and eject as well. You could argue maybe it is one of the two leaf switches, but I'll give a demonstration in a minute of at least this back leaf switch. What happens if that is actually bad? But yeah, this one here, you see it's actually closed at the moment, and if that is intermittent or dodgy, it won't lace, which is absolutely true, but it will start to lace, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't think it's the leaf switches, but let's just eject the tape. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see there's a pull there, so I'm just going to turn the pull so it's not doing that. I want it back this way so you can hear the click. So that is now not activated. Now watch when I push the tape in, what happens. And that's it, it thinks it's laced. So if you get that problem, then that'll be what it is. Now, you could argue that it was doing the same thing, that it was just the tape was going in and it wasn't doing anything. But the difference is I don't have the blinking cassette inside lights. So it's not airing, it just thinks, oh, I'm already laced. And this does sort of bring up an idea that I may do a modification kit, or even look into like some sort of modification where the tape is actually unlaced for wind and rewind. Because if I press fast forward, you see I've got a really good rewind. I will say I do see a slight problem. You see what the problem is? The wheels roll on, and you don't want that. So yeah, scrap that idea. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, so if I now turn this off, let's take it out, put it in standby, and just adjust that pull. And it's now laced. Oh, that's not good. Oh, I've adjusted this too far, I think. What's happened there? So now I've got a blinking light. So I've adjusted that too far out. So let's try again. Let's try again. So let's try. There we go. Yeah, so I just hadn't adjusted that correctly. Just try that again. So that shows if it's maladjusted. I'm not doing very well here, am I? So let's just try eject. Yeah, that's fine now. So yeah, you can see you have to get that pretty exact for it to be right. But that sort of demonstrates the problems you can have with lacing. So if you've got intermittent lacing or not unlacing properly, it's going to be that pull is just not quite properly adjusted. And it literally, when it's fully laced, it's disengaged. If I press eject, it needs to press in just enough. If it's too far, then yeah, it won't actually do what it's supposed to do. Super. So next thing is disassemble this and well, yeah, test this motor. I do want to disassemble this just to check what the gear is like at the bottom. Actually, I don't need to, because I have actually already done the gear. So if you look in here, see that white gear there? That white gear denotes that I have actually changed that loading gear. These crack. I've shown it on a few different videos, to be honest. Very common now with these decks that they do break. You can hollow out the center of the black gear and then glue it on, but I prefer just to stick one of these RC gears as they're sold. And instead I've got loads of these now because you never know and they are so common to fail. So that's good. So next thing is to check that motor. Now I do actually have another loading motor, or lacing loading motor. This actually has the center gear removed. I used it for another machine. They commonly split. So I take this off. Panic gears in there. There's a center gear in between them. Transmits motor torque from it through these to the top here, depending on whether it's locked by this assembly here, which is actuated by the solenoid that's underneath. And what commonly happens with these, and again I've said this in a previous video, is these gears will actually seize, the grease goes hard, and that causes extra stress on the plastic. It's only a small plastic gear and causes it to crack. So even if it's in good condition, I always take the top off when I'm servicing these and just put a bit of grease in. This is the original grease on these, but you can see it's actually still really good. So yeah, it's worth just making sure these are free running, and you can actually just lift this gear off, lubricate these, make sure they properly move with no resistance, and you should be okay. It should prolong the life of that gear in the middle. I mean, ultimately there's a lot of torque going through that gear and they do crack, but yeah. So let's move on to testing this motor, and this will be a fun one. So yeah, looking forward to this. So the other end of the cable that goes to the loading lacing motor is here. It's a red connector, 2-pin. What is it? CN 305, I think that is, 305. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some pins into the connector and then use the multimeter to just measure, as I slowly turn the motor, that I am getting a consistent resistance. Now on these there is a resistor that actually goes across the motor. It's a 100 ohm resistor, so that obviously has an effect on all the resistance meter readings I get. But yeah, it will show quite categorically if the motor has got a dead winding on it. So yeah, let's crack on and do that. Okay, so I've sort of bodged in the meter leads using component legs. So it's wrapped around the leads and then into the connector. So if I can get away with just doing that, what I've done is I've put a mark on the top here, so you can see when we've done a full revolution. And sorry for the noise. Let's turn the meter on. So so about 14.6 ohms with it in. That's across the motor. There is also that resistor as well. So let's disengage the solenoid and turn it. And we should see fairly consistent results right the way through. And there is what seems to be maybe a bit of a dead zone. Let's just go around again. Try and do it really slow. I mean, it will, because 100 ohms is the beep will come off. So 35 ohms, yeah, you see that's just coming off what it would term as a short. I think that's fine. You can hear the front loading system just starting to try and wind, so let's wind it back. I think that motor's fine. Yeah, it's really odd that it was behaving like it was, especially as the micro switches are okay. So I'm happy to go with the fact that everything is now okay. Don't know what that was all about, but I'll give it a good test before it's sent back. So yeah, that's fine. But how really odd, very odd. Vector back on, and just by way of interest, this has an additional TB3 board. Not sure what this actually does. So if you do know what this actually does sort of modify, let me know in the comments. So the next thing is to recondition this upper drum. So I've shown this on many videos, and I have done a specific video on the method I use to sort of resurface the upper drum and lower drum as well. If you really want to go all out, you can do the lower drum in the same method as I use for the top drum. I'm using a screwdriver that isn't really perfect. The job, it's fine. Because I'm careful. That is the thing. You just have to be on your limits with these things. Undo this one. I have actually already loosened this off, so I don't think it's as easy as just a quick pull to remove the Allen key bolt. Off. Lift that up. So yeah, you can see there is a fair bit of wear there. The cushion is not great. I mean, to be fair, a lot of it is actually contamination, just rather than wear. But you can see that is pretty shiny. So yeah, I'll give this a resurface and refit it, and we'll give it a go. So all resurfaced and cleaned, isopropyled, and not too bad. As you see, some isopropyl smearing there, smearings. Just from how I've cleaned it, but that's fine. Give it another clean once it's on. Oh, probably I won't, to be fair, because usually it's fine. That's when the machine itself's actually, it's still really good. And it's sort of quite nice to see that it is, because obviously I've learned a lot more since I sold this machine. So yeah, it's just nice to see this machine back again. Next thing I think is just to give this tape part a jolly good clean. So I'll do that next, and then we'll crack on with the next bit. Looking much better, but I have this unloading, loading, lacing issue again. The machine's been off overnight, and literally it was trying to unlace. I left the tape in it, which I know you're not supposed to do really, but I left the tape in it, went to eject it, and it jammed. And just a little tap on the top of the motor, and it moved again. So I don't think it's electrically having problems. I think it is just literally mechanically. It's just seizing after being stood, and you sort of give it a bit of a, well, turn it off and on again basically, and that seems to be enough to kick it going. But you know, giving it a tap as well, just gentle tap on here, and it moves. So I am going to change this motor. So that's the next job, and then in fact the next job I'm actually going to do is the pinch roller, because that's bothering me, and at least we can get that side of it done. So let's take the little clip off the top. See, the spring underneath pushes the pinch roller up. You can see that's pretty shiny. I mean, it's fine, the bearings are fine, but yeah, I'm just going to resurface this, and yeah, I use Rubber Renew. Noel Higgins actually has a great video on his channel showing a different method of sort of roughing these back up, which is really ingenious, but I've yet to pluck up the courage to do it, mainly because it does put a bit of stress on the bearings, in my humble opinion. I don't know, but be interested to sort of hear comments on your ideas of the best way to sort of resurface these. But yeah, I'll get and do that and pop it back in, and we'll give it a try, and then we'll change that motor, and hopefully we'll be good to go. I did actually forget to show you the amount of muck that I managed to get out of that. This was clean. But yeah, just shows you how some of these cassettes can really shed a lot of debris, and it has been 12 months as well, more. So yes, it's had a service, but yeah, also see that motor's back again, ready to be swapped out. But yeah, let's do that pinch roller. Well, the pinch roller's done, and you see right at the end of the cassette there, which is where you get the most pressure, and yeah, it's actually playing really well. There's a little bit of a noise bar at the bottom there, but yeah, what I will do is I'll just put the torque meter on it, because that creeping bar at the bottom is still suggesting there's a problem. Although I don't know how good this cassette is, but or this recording, yeah, it's still doing it. Okay, well let's put the back tension gauge on it and just see what it's like. I think I'm gradually getting to the bottom of this. One thing I'm noticing is this back tension arm is actually slightly fouling the lacing track, and also it doesn't seem to be moving correctly either. Now I did try another pinch roller, a good new old stock one, which I sort of keep to one side for these sort of issues, where you're not too sure if it's a pinch rod or something else. And it's actually worse than with this one. So that suggests to me that possibly this arm is not moving properly. Now you can see if I wiggle this arm, there is some movement down here, and there is actually an arm that moves right the way round. It's energized by the solenoid, moves the brakes, moves the back tension arm, and I wonder if something is not right under here. But what I'm going to do, just to sort of either muddy the water or find out for sure if that is the case, is try the back tension cassette from the Sony cassette case, alignment case. So okay, so let's just press play. So mount. What's that? 40 to 50. Which I would say is a little bit maybe on the high side, but it's not terrible. I think it's cutting out because it's not quite getting enough torque here. Yeah, so it is actually stopping on the spool as well. These do tend to do this. So yeah, but it's enough to get a reading. So okay, it's 40 to 50 there. Yes, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it there, because it's probably becoming quite a long video now. I think we have maybe found something different with this. I do think maybe there's something wrong with the mechanical sections under the reel table. We possibly need to change this motor, but I'm not convinced it is that motor. I don't know, it's something maybe relating to all of this not working as it should, maybe. But yeah, part 2 will investigate that, change the motor if need be, have a look at those spools as well to make sure the bearings are good. I think they're really very good on this, but we'll check and yeah, take it from there. So with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's something a bit different because of the faults we're getting. If you've got any thoughts as well, and maybe you'd like to sort of place a bet as to what you think is actually going on with this, let me know in the comments. That'd be really cool. And please like and subscribe as well, and share. And see you in another video. Bye for now.